Hello everyone, and welcome back to another awesome episode of Gothically Yours, Professor M. I'm Professor M. And in this very special episode, I'll be talking about the influence that the Addams family has had on the Gothic community today. Join us. Now, if you have been living under a rock, hopefully not, but you will have heard of the sitcoms The Addams Family, and the names of a particular family going by the name of Morticia, Gomez, Wednesday, Pugsley, Grandmama, and Fester Addams. Oh, and don't forget Lurch, Thing, and Cousin It. Also very important to the sitcom. But I'm not here to talk about the characters primarily. I'm talking about the influence that this sitcom had on the goth community. I want to go further back and talk about the history of the Addams family before I talk about the influence on the goth community. Let's start off with the artist himself, Charles Addams. He was an illustrator. He worked for a magazine by the name of The New Yorker. Now, Charles Addams had done hundreds, if not thousands, of illustrations. Some of them were even unpublished. But his legacy lives on because of the Addams family that he had created. This macabre, strange, dark world that actually caused the viewer to actually take a double take at what he had created. What were they all about? Wow. That was pretty cool that he created something way ahead of its time that influenced many generations in the future, including someone sitting right here. Now, after Charles had created the cartoons in 1938, he had decided to create a book that showcased all of his work. 1964, he was approached by NBC saying, "We saw your work, we love it, and we want to take your family and create it into a sitcom for television." Then they asked the very important question, what are the names of the characters? Charles Addams didn't even have names for the characters until 1964. He was thumbing through the yellow pages and saw the word mortician and decided that was the perfect name for the wife. What's so amazing about this is that the concept of the family and who the characters were blossomed from that. There was also another sitcom coming in 1964. It was The Munsters. Now, for those who don't know, there's a big difference between the Addams Family and the Munsters. Now, what is the greatest difference? Well, the Addams Family has a different character compared to the Munsters. The Munsters are a working class family. The father gets up in the morning and he gets his lunchbox and goes to the factory or the work or whatever he does for a living. And the wife does her own laundry, and they're very homemakery type of thing. Whereas we've got the Addams family who've got doubloons piled up from generation and generation. They have more money than they know what to do with. They don't have to worry about the expenses and costs of anything. They can just go out and live a life that is just luxuriously dark and as they like and how they see fit compared to the workaday Munster family. What made it more popular was the Addams Family was a little bit creepier. They brought us into a very special world. Now, many characters had played Morticia and many characters have played Gomez. Now, after the 1964 sitcom when Carolyn Jones was playing Morticia, there was other movies that were made from 1960s into the 70s. Even Tim Curry himself played the character of Gomez Addams. I didn't particularly like him as Gomez Addams because I don't think he captured the spirit of Gomez. Further on that, they had made others slightly marketable material for television, but not as good as 1991. In 1991 and 1993, two amazing movies were made, which influenced my life greatly because I was a freshman in college. The first one was just called The Addams Family, starring Angelica Houston and Raul Julia. They also made a second movie called Addams Family Value, in which a third child was added to the family named Pupert. Addams Family Value was equally as much a box office success as the first one, and they added all types of different things like Thing being more independent out of the box. Well, how much influence or how much love have you given the characters of the Addams Family? Let's go a little bit more deeper now. Tim Burton has his fingers in a completely new Netflix series called Wednesday. There's been some criticism already because there is an actor by the name of Louis Guzman who is playing Gomez Addams. Stop. I've got something to say because I have seen all of the original Charles Addams cartoons and illustrations from the 1930s. And I would like to think and say openly that Louis Guzman is probably the most close to and most accurate Gomez Addams they have ever found to date. If you look at the before the movie comes out, photographs that they sometimes take, Gomez is shorter than Morticia. Look at the original cartoons, bingo. Tim Burton nailed it. I'm really excited to see where this is going to go. Very important about Gomez is he's always been played by a Latino or a Spanish character. Okay, that is very important. And any woman who plays Morticia has to be tall and pale with the long black hair. This is where the influence starts coming in and why the goth community owes a lot to Charles Addams for inspiring us to the world I would believe would be trad goth. Draped in black, the long black hair, the pale, pale, pale skin, almost this translucent zombie-like look on your face. That is the whole conceptual thing behind the Batcave to me. Influence from a former echo from another world. Thank you, Charles Addams, if you're listening from beyond the grave. We owe you a moment of gratitude for your influence on the goth community today. If you look at hundreds of thousands of goth images that are taken and put on Pinterest and Instagram, you'll notice the Morticia Addams look that the girls pull off. Even some of the YouTube sisters out there carry it off very well. It is a signature in our community to look very Morticia-ish. Think of all the other characters that had been influenced by that. Vampira, and she's got the big breasts and the big hair. Yeah, her. These characters are also an influence of the Addams Family, Morticia Addams, a great, great, great power source of influence coming to it. And we owe them a great bit of gratitude for what they have done. Music, culture, everything that we can think of, especially dark literature. I'd like to know where the sources of Charles Addams' influence came from when he was a child to come up with that macabre world, but it was quite influential. Should add this important tidbit. An auction was done in 2021. An original Charles Addams drawing was set for $10,000 to be auctioned off for charity. It sold for $83,500, 8 times what they considered it was going for. Quite an influential thing, I would have to imagine. For myself and being obsessed with the Addams Family growing up and having the original books that my parents had given me. Another very interesting tidbit I want to add. I had a friend who owned a video store. And for the baby bats that are out there, I was talking about the yellow pages, which we used to have to thumb through with dial rotary phones. We used to have VCR stores. A friend of mine owned a VCR store, and one day she asked me if I wanted a cardboard standee from the original 1991 Addams Family promotional. I said, absolutely. I have that in my home. Then, about 2 years later, she asked me if I wanted an original 1993 promo with the whole entire family, a cardboard standee. It is still in the box, in mint condition, from 1993, sealed. The thing is that we don't really care about those type of things. We care about the aesthetics. That house, the way Morticia talks to her husband, the love affair between Gomez and Morticia. There was once a cartoon that said, "Screw Romeo and Juliet, I want a love that burns as hot as Morticia and Gomez." Gotta hand it to you. The goth community has had a lot going on in the past than that. There are some things that another goth sister had mentioned in a YouTube channel about being a hashtag and something like that. We're not hashtags. We are goth. Let's share a little bit more before I close this out. Charles Addams' family, the Addams family, whether you like it or not, had an influence on a very large range of musicians and artists and probably people in the literature world, the goth literature world. If you personally have had influence or love of the Addams Family, please leave me a comment down below. Tell me what inspired you. What element was it? That big, dark Victorian house that wouldn't you want to live in? I actually have a house in my hometown, which I posted on my Instagram, that I have been in love with since a little boy, because every day the school bus went right by it, and all the other kids were talking about toys. My head was turned looking at that house, thinking, I want to possess you. I want to possess you. Influence, brothers and sisters, influence on the Addams family and what they meant to us. Now, Charles Addams died in 1988, and he left a legacy. He also had 3 wives. The second one he divorced because there was a little bit of mayhem there. I'm not going to spoil it for you. You may want to go look at his Wikipedia page and find out what exactly happened. He died, and there was a very special artist division thing on a campus named after him, the Charles Addams Room or something like that of design. Check it out. Well, coming into that, have you been influenced by the Addams family? Do you have a love that burns as strong as mine? Which one of the guys out there would want to be Gomez himself? Right, Cedric? Here we go. Signing off, and, as always, gothically yours, Professor M.